Hi guys, today we are reading The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig. And we have read this book in class before, so this might sound familiar to some of you. The Invisible Boy. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti had trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Miss Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then the best friends of the best players. Then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swings over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did, except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, space aliens locked in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. And the kids laugh. All of them, that is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. You can look right here, says Justin. I thought the bulgogi looked good, Brian. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the kids to team up in 2 or 3s for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads toward Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. You can see right here, Justin says, Mrs. Carlotti said we have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. And he says, okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. And right here it says, the cricket story we made up on the spot. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone shout, hey Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. All right, now that we have read the book, I want to flip through it very quickly just to see if you guys noticed something. I did point this out whenever we read it first in class, so try to take a moment and follow along with me. We're going to take a look at the invisible boy, Brian, and see how Brian changes as we flip through the book. So we've got Brian right here. We notice he is not in color. So we keep flipping and finding Brian. So we see Brian over here, Brian right here, Brian here, and he's still not in color. Okay, there's something special on this page that you're going to need to use for one of your questions. So I want you to either pause here and answer the question or just look very carefully. Okay, we've got Brian over here and Brian over here. Brian looks a little different. There are some questions that I know I'm asking you about Brian. So I want you to think about in those questions, what do you notice about Brian as we go through the different pages of the book to the very end? All right, guys, make sure you go to your next slide and answer the questions that I have for you and do the activity.